went further. Islam, said one, is the problem. After an absence of the word for many years, the governing Labour Party this week reaffirmed its commitment to multiculturalism. Support for that on the Sunday morning talk shows.
We think it's excellent that the M word is back in the Australian political narrative.
We're a multicultural community, we're a multicultural society, and that's what makes Australia great.
But it's away from the studio sofas in the community where anti-Islamic comments have the biggest effect.
Past experience shows that when these comments are made, that there is a reaction from people, and it's a negative reaction.
Australia is an immigrant nation. 44% of people were either born abroad or have at least one parent who was. There are opposing views, though, on how best to hold all those in the country together. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Sydney.
Well, coming up, cricket's World Cup is underway and we've been treated to a batting masterclass from India and from Virender Sehwag in particular.
In an increasingly mechanized world, life is a constant struggle for China's manual laborers. Barely able to survive, they dream of better things for their children. Better education, a life in the big city, an escape from drudgery. And so they work all the harder, taking work where they can find it, thinking of that better future. Faces of China on Al Jazeera.
The times change. The instruments evolve. The battlegrounds shift.
This is America! Our country!
But the international struggle continues.
He was murdered!
Uncompromising, hard-hitting investigations.
I can't get no justice from no one in Jamaica.
People and power, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera. Exclusives.
Given that Singapore's on a heightened state of alert for a possible attack on a ship such as this, it's been surprisingly easy for us to hire a small boat and get this close.
The constant smell is a reminder to these fishermen of the lost work and their lost livelihood.
This terrible winter has proved a stern test. Animals to these people represent livelihood, but also a sense of family, and many are losing both.
Welcome back. Let's find out what's going on with all the sport. Here's Farah.
Thank you, Sammy. Bangladesh's first experience of hosting a Cricket World Cup match didn't go exactly to plan. They were well beaten by India after the co-hosts produced a stunning batting display in Dhaka. India eventually winning by a margin of 87 runs. Andy Richardson reports.
No one in Dhaka wanted to miss this moment of history. Bangladesh hosting their first ever World Cup game, the biggest sporting event this country's ever seen. What's more, their opponents were neighbours and fierce rivals India, a side they sensationally beat at the last World Cup. Bangladesh won the toss but opted to bowl first, and it was the Indian batsman who got off to a flyer. Some home respite was offered when Sachin Tendulkar was run out for just 28. But Virender Sehwag more than made up for his role in that dismissal. He eased his way to the first century of this World Cup. Sehwag was by now limping, but he had the Bangladesh fielders running to all parts. He went on to score a mighty 175. Virat Kohli also hit a century, the co-hosts finishing up on 370 for 4. Bangladesh responded with some big hitting of their own. Tamim Iqbal once again pivotal to his side's effort. When he went for 70 though, so too did his team's best chance of victory. Bangladesh's final total of 283 for 9, giving India victory by 87 runs.
I thought we could have bowled better. I thought we bowled too many boundary balls, and that cost us the game. On the other hand, Brendra Sehwag played really good innings, and he took the game away from us.
Still, Bangladesh is a good side in ODI. They can disappoint any bigger sides if they got to know that their strength and weaknesses, and if they play well against good sides, especially the test nation side. So still they can disappoint anyone.
So this not exactly the start Bangladesh fans would have been hoping for. Their team, though, can get their campaign back on track in their next game against Ireland. As for India, well, this generation of players has achieved so much, but they've never been able to repeat their country's World Cup triumph of 1983. Maybe this year they'll get it right. Andy Richardson, Al Jazeera, Dhaka.
In Sunday's early game, 2003 World Cup semi-finalists Kenya were thrashed by New Zealand. After winning the toss and opting to bat, the Kenyans were bowled out for just 69 runs, the fifth lowest score in World Cup history. Hamish Bennett starred for the winners with the ball taking 4 wickets for just 16 runs. In reply, the Black Caps made short work of the target, with the openers knocking off the runs without loss in just 8 overs.
That's it.
The other game Sunday sees home side Sri Lanka take on Canada in Hambantota. Fast bowler Lasith Malinga has been dropped by the home side. Sri Lanka won the toss and are currently 104 for 2 after 22 overs. In Italy, Inter Milan are now just 2 points behind Serie A leaders and city rivals AC Milan after they beat Cagliari 1-0. Inter's revival under coach Leonardo continued thanks to Hussein Kharja's 7th-minute strike. It's their 9th win in 13 matches since the Brazilian took over from Rafa Benitez. Sunday sees 8 games in Italy. League leaders AC Milan will look to put the gap between them and second-place city rivals Inter to 5 points when they take on Chievo away. Lazio take on Bari, knowing a win will keep them in the hunt for an automatic Champions League spot. The late game sees third-place Napoli at home to Catania. A win for Napoli will put them back into second. To Spanish football, and Jose Mourinho is now 9 years unbeaten in home league matches as a manager after his current Real Madrid side brushed aside Levante on Saturday. Karim Benzema and Ricardo Carvalho scored Real's goals in a 2-0 victory. Mourinho has still not lost a home league match in charge of Porto, Chelsea, Inter Milan or Real. That's 147 games in all. Real now trail leaders Barcelona by just 2 points in the title race. Sunday sees 4th place Villarreal at home to bottom club Malaga. A win for the home side will see them move into 3rd spot above Valencia in goal difference. The late game sees Barcelona take on Athletic Bilbao, looking to put the gap between rivals Real back to 5 points. Manchester United are through to the quarterfinals of the English FA Cup, but only after narrowly beating non-league side Crawley Town, who are 93 places below them on the football ladder. Wes Brown scored for the Red Devils in the first half. Crawley came close to equalizing. Richard Brody's header hit the crossbar, but didn't quite make it. Man United battled for a 1-0 win. Meanwhile, defending champions Chelsea were knocked out after they were beaten by Everton on penalties. No goals in 90 minutes, but in the first period of extra time, Frank Lampard gave the home side the lead. But in the final seconds, Leighton Baines scored